welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so sorry I haven't posted in a while. Things have been a little bit crazy around here. Everything in our small town happens kind of at once, so we got all of these different events going on, and of course I gotta go to all of them. So I'll start posting again. I apologize, but today I'm going to be doing a labor and delivery story time. I'm gonna get and I'm gonna get a little bit detailed with you guys, but nothing too gross or anything. But yeah, if you guys are new, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and follow me and Brinley on our social media and keep up with us. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So I was 37 weeks pregnant. Okay. I was 37 weeks pregnant, and I had a doctor's appointment that day, just my 37-week checkup. And I went to my doctor's appointment, and at this point, I had already been dilated to a 5. If you don't know what dilated means, it just means that your cervix is dilated about 5 centimeters and is getting ready to get ready for the baby and stuff. So whenever your cervix is dilated, it means that you are in the early stages of labor. So I'd been in the early stages of labor for about a week before that. And I actually went on a vacation. I went to Palm Springs with David's family, and we did a lot of hiking and a lot of walking up and down the streets, and I was having horrible Braxton Hicks contractions. We'll pull them apart, silly goose. Here. I was having horrible Braxton Hicks contractions, and I was like freaking out because they were like so close together. But then we got home, and I still hadn't gone into labor. Everything was fine. And so it's like 3 days later is whenever I was going to my doctor's appointment. So I went to my doctor's appointment with my friend, and the doctor kind of just did normal stuff, gave me a cervical check. She said I was fine. Like and then she said that she wanted to check me again right before I left, because I lived so far away from where I was giving birth that they didn't want me to go into active labor at home and not being able to make it to the hospital. So she said that since I had been in early stages of labor for so long and I was dilated for that long, she wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to dilate anymore. And so we just had the regular appointment, just did all the checkups. She just made sure everything was going good. And at the end of my checkup, she gave me another cervical check. And again, a cervical check is just where you go up and you see how far your cervix is dilated. And whenever she did that, the second time, I was dilated all the way to a 6.5. So from a 5 to a 6.5 within like 20 minutes meant that I was becoming like actively in labor. And so she was like, I don't want you to go home. We're going to have a baby tonight or tomorrow or the next day, however, depending on however long my labor was. And so I was like, okay, like excited obviously, but scared, nervous, you know, those typical feelings that you would feel. And so my friend took me over to the hospital, and I didn't have any of my bags. I didn't have anything. I was just ready to go to a doctor's appointment. So I was going to go home right after that, or maybe to eat or something, but I was not expecting to spend the night over there. And so I called David, and he got our hospital bags and everything ready, and he brought them to the hospital, and he stayed the night with me. And it feels like I was in the hospital for so much longer, but I wasn't. It was David's mom's birthday, which was October 24th. And I was in the hospital from about 3:30, and then I had Brinley at 6:45 the next morning, October 25th. October 25th is her birthday, 2017. So then I was in labor for, I don't even know how long that is, but anyways, I got to the hospital. I was hooked up to all the monitors. I wasn't having contractions aside from like Braxton Hicks contractions that I had already been having. Nothing was new to me. I was super bored. I wanted to go home. I was tired. I wasn't ready, basically. And so they had me in the room. They got me TV. They introduced me to my nurses, asked me my pain tolerance, asked me my pain level, asked me my birthing plan, everything and stuff. And we kind of just got settled in there. And then David got there and my family got there because we let them know like what was happening. And then David and my mom and his mom and my grandma were all in the room once things kind of started progressing. It was probably around, let's see, I got there at like 4:30, so then I probably started having actual contractions around like 9:30, and they weren't bad. They were just like uncomfortable. So then I wanted to take a bath. So I got in the bath and I sat in the bath for a little while, and then I got out and then I got back in the bath and sat for a little while because they were getting worse. And then finally I got in the bath for my third time. I was actually having pretty bad contractions at this point. And I wanted to go to bed because I was so tired from laboring for so long without any medicine, because I wanted to try and go all the way without medicine. And so I'm in the bathtub and I tell David, I'm like, I'm so tired. Will you help me get up? Because, you know, I'm fat. And so he's like, yeah. And so I go to stand up and I feel something drop inside my stomach. Like, I'm not even joking. It felt like a big rock inside my stomach just drop. And at that point, ew, Brinley. Okay, she's pooping. That's cool. Hashtag mom life. Ew. Anyways, and so, yeah, right after I felt that drop, I was getting out of the bathtub, and like clockwork, my contractions were like 4 minutes apart, and then 3 minutes apart, and then 2 minutes apart, and they were hurting so bad. And I was like, I need the epidural. I need the epidural. And so then my nurse comes in and she's like, okay, the anesthesiologist won't be here for another like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I just pushed through it, and it didn't go by that slow like I assumed it would because I was in so much pain. It actually went by pretty fast. And so then the anesthesiologist got there and I was in a lot of pain, and he told me to go over on the side of the bed and hug my knees. And I was hugging my knees, ready for him to like stick me in the back with the needle, but I was having a contraction while that was happening, and that was the most painful thing, was having a contraction while he was sticking me. And then he stuck me again, and I was in that position for probably like 8 minutes, and he was trying to like get it right and stuff, and I didn't know what was happening. I didn't even want to ask because I was in so much pain at this point. And so David's in front of me, and I'm like hugging my knees but hugging him at the same time, like resting my face on his stomach. He's like holding my hand and stuff. And so finally he's done, and my contractions just completely like subsided completely. It was so bizarre. It was the most relief like I had felt the whole time I was there. And then I was sitting in my bed, I was watching TV, joking with all my family members. Everything was fine because I was on this medicine, and I was like watching my contractions on the screen, and then like 35 minutes, or maybe, I don't even know, I think it was like 45 minutes to an hour actually, goes by, and I start feeling my contractions kind of come back. But I had the epidural, so I was like pushing the button, like telling them that I needed more and stuff, and they were like we're giving you more, it's just not working. So it wore off super fast, and so it was about 10:30 at this point. What? Silly girl? You want to say hi? Oh, goodness. Here. You want that? And so, yeah, it was about 10:30 at this point, and I can feel all my contractions. I was watching them on the screen. While I didn't feel them, they were all the way up to a 10, and I was like, oh, good thing I can't feel that. Like, I'm so glad I can't feel that. But then it started going away, and they were up to a 12, and then a 13, and then a 14, and it hurt so bad. They were like off the chart contractions, and I could feel them. I could feel them completely. And so my doctor finally comes in. She was like, Zoe, it's time to push. Because at this point, my contractions were like every 35 seconds. It felt like every minute. I don't even remember. They were constant. She's like, okay, Zoe, it's time to push. And so I was in so much pain. I was super scared because my medicine wasn't working. And so I have David on my right side holding my right leg up to like my head, and my mom on my left side holding my leg up to my head. And everybody's kind of out of the room except for my mom, David's mom, and my grandmother. And David. And so they told me to push, and I pushed, and they told me to hold it for a count of 10. I pushed for 2.5 hours with no luck. Like, they just kept telling me to push. They said they could see her hair. They could see her hair for so long. I was exhausted at this point. I was falling asleep in between contractions. I was losing, like, I don't know what you would say. Like, you're losing sight, kind of. Like, my eyes were just, like, rolling to the back of my head. And they gave me an oxygen mask. Here. They gave me an oxygen mask to put on my face to like regulate my breathing and stuff. And I remember being super distracted by it. I couldn't push the way that they needed me to push and stuff. So I kind of just set it aside, and they didn't let me, and it hurt so bad. But whenever, you would think that like pushing would be the worst part, but pushing was the best part out of whenever I was having the contractions, because when you push, your contractions subside. It was weird. And so I was pushing every few minutes, every single contraction they had me push. And then finally, in the beginning of my labor, my back was hurting, but I always have had back problems and stuff. So I was like, yeah, like it's hurting really bad. And they're like, I think you may be going into back labor. And so they showed me this little like stance to do to see if Brinley would flip over, but she never did. And so Brinley wasn't breech, but she was upside down. They called her sunny side up. So instead, you can think a baby coming out of the birth canal is obviously head first, but the back of their head is first, so that their shoulders can fold forward and come out. Brinley was upside down, so she would be coming out, but her shoulders wouldn't be able to fold. And so she got stuck in my birth canal because of her shoulders. And so they had to give me an episiotomy. And so an episiotomy is whenever you have to cut the vaginal tissue so that she can come out. And so she was like, okay, like there's no time, we have to give you an episiotomy. I didn't know what that was. She explained it to me really fast, and I was like freaking out. I was so tired. I didn't know what to think, and I knew it was gonna hurt, but I was already in so much pain. And so since I didn't have any medicine, I felt everything. I felt her cut with the scissors. I felt the cold scissors. I felt them cut me, and I felt it hurt, and I saw her hands, and they were all bloody. Everything was just so much. I could see like everything, but I was so tired. And so finally she cut me. She was like, okay, I'm gonna need you to push. And I pushed, and she was like, okay, 2 more pushes and she should be here. And so I pushed for a 10 count, and then she had me push for like a 15 count. And on my last push, I don't really remember much because I was like blacking in and out. Every time I would fall asleep, I would wake up and I wouldn't know what was going on. And I remember asking my doctor, I was like, is she okay? Like, because I couldn't hear her, or I couldn't hear her screaming, I couldn't hear her crying. And they were telling me before I was in labor, like, a crying baby is a good sign. And I remember I couldn't hear her crying. I couldn't hear anybody talking to me. I could see all their mouths moving, but I couldn't hear anything. So I was freaking out. And I remember asking, does she have hair? Is it a girl? Is she okay? What's going on? And my doctor, she was like, Zoe, look at me. And I looked at her, and I don't remember anything after that. I passed out. And I think about 20 minutes, or no, it was 15 minutes. 15 minutes went by, and so I had her at 6:45, and then around 7 o'clock I came to. I was alive. I was good. I was in pain, obviously, but not as much pain. And Brinley was resting on my chest, and there was blood everywhere. I just remember seeing so much blood. Her whole head, because she was stuck in my birth canal for so long, her head was shaped like a caution cone. And David was crying because he didn't know how to react. Obviously, he just saw his baby girl for the first time. We were freaking out. We didn't know if she was okay. and they put the hat on her. They were like, that'll go away. And I remember David, and he was like, is her head supposed to be like that? And the doctor was like, yeah, like, it's okay, it'll go away. The baby's bones in their head are meant to do that so that they can squeeze through. And he was like blue in the face. But then after Brinley was on me for a little while, they had everybody kind of go out of the room. David did skin to skin, and I did skin to skin. They taught me how to latch. They taught me how to have her latch on me. They talked to me about everything that kind of was going on. They stitched me up. They weighed her. And that's pretty much it. So that is my labor and delivery story. Obviously, there is many more details that I didn't get into, mostly because I can't remember. But that's pretty much the gist of it for everybody that kind of wanted to know how it went. Yes, it is painful. Yes, you can do it, and yes, it will be the happiest day of your life. It was definitely for me. But yes, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to go into as much detail as I possibly could. Like I said, I passed out, so I don't remember a lot of it. And it was such a surreal day, it's hard to kind of remember all of it. I wish I would have recorded it. Also, if you're pregnant and you're thinking about, not vlogging obviously, but if you're thinking about recording your birth, I think it's a great idea, because I wish that I would have, so that I could see and I could experience it and stuff again, because it was such a good day. So alright, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and follow us on our Instagram and my Twitter and my Twitter and my Snapchat will be linked at the end of the video. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Okay? Say bye! Okay. Hello? Hello? No? Brinley? Bryn, look at this. Look. Say bye. Say bye, good girls.